Have you ever been in a situation where you're just minding your business, living your quiet life? When someone bursts into your world with a problem so confusing that even your ancestors would pause and say, what is this again? Well, that's how it started for Kayo, a young, brilliant forensic pathologist who studied abroad and returned to Ghana, all excited and idealistic, like a medical version of the prodigal son. Only problem? Ghana didn't know what to do with him. See, Kayo came back thinking he was going to change the world one DNA test at a time. He applied to join the police force, imagining he'd be Ghana's very own CSI hero. But the police looked at his degrees and said, "Forensic what? My friend, we've been solving crimes since Nkrumah's time, with a little slap here, a little shouting there. It works." So, Kayo ended up working for Mr. Aqua, a tight-fisted man whose name alone sounds like someone who pinches coins in his sleep.
Huh? What?
But then something strange happened in a village called Sonokrom. A minister's girlfriend, yes, girlfriend, because ministers in Ghanaian fiction always have one, goes to this village and stumbles upon something. Something gross, something organic, something that looked like the leftovers of a murder, but no one was quite sure what it was. Now, 9 policemen and 1 confused pathologist later, the case was still unsolved.
What the hell's going on here?
And that's when a certain high-ranking, power-hungry officer, Donkor, who dreams of becoming the next Inspector General of Police because it's a political appointment not based on skill, decides that maybe, just maybe, it's time to bring in someone with an actual science degree. Enter Kayo. But of course, in true bureaucratic style, Donkor can't just ask nicely. Oh no. When Mr. Aqua resists lending out his prized employee, the police whip out a secret about him, and suddenly the path is clear. Kayo is practically dragged to Sonokrom. Blackmailed, coerced, threatened. CSI Ghana edition is about to begin.
That's what happens when worlds collide.
But Sonokrom isn't your average village. It's a place where tradition breathes through every tree, and where science hits a wall so thick, even Kayo's microscope can't see through it. Kayo begins his investigation, CSI kit in hand, hoping to uncover truth with his fancy methods. But everything he finds only makes things more confusing. The body isn't clearly a body. The crime scene looks more like a location from a Nollywood ghost movie. And the villagers? They're not exactly chatty.
Might be trying to get our attention.
I don't know, but he just got mine.
It quickly becomes a battle between science and tradition. Kayo's lab coats and test tubes versus ancestral knowledge and storytelling. And let me tell you, science starts to sweat.
That's a mob hit, Horatio.
Yes, and it's time to hit back.
You see, the story doesn't just run in a straight forensic line, it's layered. On one hand, you have Kayo's world, modern, cynical, and peppered with hip-life music, corruption, and institutional chaos. On the other, you have the soulful voice of Yao Poku, a village elder who begins the novel by telling his story in English so drenched in Twi syntax that it feels like direct translation. We were at our somewhere when she came. And no, Nii Ayikwei Parkes doesn't pause to explain. No glossary, no footnotes, no translation. If you don't know Twi, tough. Context will carry you. It's not rude, it's intentional. The book feels like it was written for Ghanaians and shared with the world. Like Kafka, who never wrote for Africans but is still accessible to us, Nii makes no apologies. You're welcome to read, but you're also welcome to Google.
Look, Google needs us, and Google wants us.
The book has 2 clear narrative styles. Yao Poku's tale, filled with folklore, proverbs, and analogies, where questions are answered with stories and answers lie between the lines. This style feels like being around a fire with an elder who says, "Let me tell you what happened," even if you only asked for directions. Then there's the third-person narrative that follows Kayo. Here, the language is clean, measured, and observant. We get close to Kayo, his hopes, disappointments, the scientific mind trying to make sense of what simply refuses to be categorized. This split style lets the story breathe in 2 different cultural languages, science and tradition, head and heart. But don't mistake this for a simple village crime story. This is a layer cake. One layer explores corruption, Kayo being blackmailed into service, and institutions serving power instead of truth. Another layer examines the loss of rural culture, villages emptying out, traditional medicine and farming dying off, and the elders just watching their ways vanish. Then there's the layer of modern Ghanaian life. Kayo listens to hip life music. A radio station in Koforidua is casually mentioned, Sunrise FM, instantly grounding the reader in real geography. For anyone who has stayed in Tafo, reading this book may feel like looking out the window. And just when you think you've understood the mystery, just when the clues seem to form a picture, the story slides. Truth becomes foggy, certainty unravels, and in that moment, tradition kind of grins and says, "You thought this was just a science story?" It's also beautifully surreal in a very Ghanaian way. Nii Ayikwei Parkes doesn't go full Ben Okri with magical forests and dreamscapes, but he brushes the edge of the surreal. He suggests that even in a world of test tubes, there are things science cannot explain, and sometimes the most logical thing to do is to listen to the village elder. There's a moment when it hits you. This isn't just a whodunit, it's a what do you believe in? And that brings me to one of my favorite parts of Nii's writing, his ability to involve the reader. He doesn't explain everything. Sometimes a scene starts mid-thought, like you've just stepped into a conversation already in progress. It demands your attention. It makes you lean in. You are not a passive reader. You are a participant.
Oh, I have my secrets. Turn around.
I bought this book exactly a year ago and kept it for the right moment. And I'm glad I did. Because Tale of the Bluebird is the kind of book that proves something very important. African characters can be more than poor villagers or corrupt politicians. They can be scientists. They can be dreamers. They can wrestle with systems. They can question traditions. They can carry microscopes into forests and still find themselves humbled. And that ending? You may need to suspend a little disbelief, but trust me, it's worth the ride. So, let's talk themes. Science versus tradition, the central conflict. Can science explain everything? What if the truth refuses to be dissected under a microscope? Corruption institutions fail, people manipulate systems, and ambition trumps truth. Loss of culture. As young people leave villages for cities, stories, practices, and wisdom vanish. And identity, for Kayo, the returnee, there's also the journey of self, what it means to come home and feel both insider and outsider. Nii Ayikwei Parkes is a British Ghanaian poet, novelist, and spoken word artist. He's written children's books, essays, poetry collections, and this phenomenal novel, Tale of the Bluebird. His writing honestly pushes boundaries. He reminds us that African literature can be both deeply local and globally resonant, rooted in Twi and high life, but structured like Kafka or Poe. He's not just a storyteller, he's a builder of forms. I wholeheartedly recommend Tale of the Bluebird. It's short, sharp, funny, mysterious, and filled with lines you'll want to underline. It's a novel that says Ghana is not just gold mines and colonial hangovers. It's modern, complex, haunted by both past and possibility. Nii Ayikwei Parkes gives me hope. Hope that Ghanaian literature can continue to evolve, boldly, beautifully, unapologetically. If you've read the book, let me know what you think. If you haven't, I suggest you do. Just be prepared. You may need to listen with your heart, not just your head. This has been GM Bookshop, where books speak and we listen, with both ears and sometimes a microscope. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more African literary treasures. Till next time, happy reading. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you're interested in diving deeper into this book, I've left some links down in the description. You can use it to grab yourself a copy and keep the adventure going. And if you're in the mood for more great reads, don't go just yet. Click on one of the videos popping up right now that I think you'll love. And don't forget to give this review a like, leave a comment, or even subscribe if you'd like to see more. Every bit of support helps us grow this little community of book lovers. See you in the next one.